Hi, and welcome to Little Mirrors. I'm Iolanthe.
And I'm Yule.
And we're about to vlog what our experience of being parents for the first month has been like. We've got a full house in the studio today, so our dog Wagner is with us and our baby Aigla's with us. We really wanted to make sure that we got these vlogs done, which means that we're compromising maybe on sound a little more, but just see any snuffles or barks you hear as part of the general colour of the experience. So naturally we've got quite a bit to share about our first month. It's been a big month, and as such we're going to actually record 3 separate vlogs for you. So today's first episode is going to look at the very first week of Yule in our life, which is the week in hospital. Then we're going to be looking at week 2, which is coming home, and the final vlog in the series will be both weeks 3 and 4, and that will look at the way that we've gone on to integrate as a family and start to feel a little bit more balanced and normal about the whole experience. So Yule, how would you describe the first month of being a parent?
It is a lot more natural and comfortable than I thought it was going to be. So you hear a lot of nightmares about people really do exaggerate. I think, well, not exaggerate, but other people's experience has not necessarily been our experience of loss of sleep and or colic or any of these things or other health issues that have caused their babies to be unsettled and that sort of thing. We've actually got a very settled baby, and so we've really just been able to enjoy parenthood a little bit, and I don't feel like those other downsides, if you want to call them that, have really affected me as much as I thought, as I thought I would.
Yeah.
I've really enjoyed it.
Good. I have found the first month of parenthood to be the biggest period of learning in my life, I would say. It feels a bit like, when you first go to uni, if you live on campus, or just when you first go to uni and everything is new. You're an adult, you have no peer group, you need to develop one. The rhythm of your day is different. Or when you first begin work and you have to be accountable to be at a place at a time and you have to understand what it is to be professional. It feels like that kind of intense learning, but more so. And when you're 38 and you've been competent professionally and only learning in increments and learning what you want, brand new learning en masse can be very intense and overwhelming. So I found the first month most wonderful, but also the biggest challenge to, I guess, my identity that I've experienced, but in a positive way. And we'll get into that in a little bit more detail soon. So going back now 5 weeks, actually, we were in hospital and Aigla had been born via C-section. If you haven't seen our vlog about what a C-section experience is like, and it's not super gruesome, but if you'd like to refer to that, you can check out our previous vlog. But we're just going to both reflect on what that first week was like in hospital. So how would you say our hospital stay overall was?
Formative.
Mm-hmm. In what way?
It felt like a family had, so there was you and me, and then there's this third person, and then that makes you feel a bit more like a family unit rather than maybe a couple.
Yeah.
And it was a very peaceful time for us. So due to COVID restrictions that are still in place here in Melbourne, no visitors were allowed into the hospital, and we were there for 5 days, just getting used to being parents and getting to know our baby, and with the support of the hospital staff. And so it was really nice to have that time and just kind of ease into the new phase of our lives.
I think that when you left the hospital, there was something that you wanted to talk about.
Yes. So I thought we would get, that's at the end of our stay. So.
Oh, it's true. Okay, we'll discuss it at the end of our stay. So,
stay tuned.
So we had our baby at the Epworth Hospital in Melbourne, and it was a really wonderful experience. We felt, as Yula said, we felt super supported. And if I guess this is different for everyone, but having that alone time that COVID afforded us, we found hugely beneficial. Particularly, I mean, having a baby, whether it's vaginally or via cesarean, is a very intense experience for your body anyway. You're going through a change of physical state very fast. I can't really see how having tons of visitors in the hospital would help your period of trying to recalibrate, heal. You're probably going to be on painkillers. So we really liked not having anybody visit us in the hospital. And should we have more babies, we will do the same thing. We will not invite people into the hospital. That's a beautiful private time, I think, to be with your baby, with your partner. I would say that when I reflect back on my time in the hospital, while I was going through it, I felt really fine. I was really chuffed with our baby. I felt really safe. The care was wonderful. I would say that I was probably more impacted upon by the painkillers than I imagined. I didn't feel high by any means. I was taking Endone, which is a popular pain relief solution for maternity wards. But my memory of it is just a little fuzzy. It's pleasant, nothing unpleasant, but it's just a bit fuzzy. So I things felt a bit sped up. So I'd remark on that. The one thing that I'd say is valuable to think about a little bit before going into hospital is whether or not you want to give your child formula. As new parents, we've been dunked into the anxieties and world of the politics of formula. Around day 3 of having a baby, day 3 to 4, a mum's milk might not have come in. Before you have milk, you have this thing called colostrum. This is like a biology lesson. Anyway, the colostrum is the baby's first food, and it's like super high nutrient, and there's barely any of it. Between day 3 and 4, you're unlikely to have had your milk come in, and baby might be getting really hungry. So you've got a couple of choices. You can either keep attempting to feed, often knowing that your baby is hungry and becoming increasingly angry and screaming and squalling, or you can choose to give them formula so they don't lose too much weight. It's an entirely personal decision. I had thought that I did want to give formula before I went into hospital in that period of time if milk hadn't come in. So it would have been about 2 a.m, and Agla was very squally. Bottom line is she didn't have any milk to drink, and I wanted to give her formula. It would have been 2 a.m. I was high on Endone. I had recovered from a major surgery. My baby was screaming and I was tired. And I found that midwives tried to have a nuanced conversation with me about the risks of using formula for my baby, which I accept would be best practice. I had to sign a waiver that I understood the risks of using breast formula, of using formula on a baby, and it was very stressful and very upsetting because I felt like I was doing something terrible. How would you reflect on that tiny little chapter?
Yeah, so a bit different from. Obviously, my experience is different from yours. So I was in a different state of mind when that happened.
Yeah.
My opinion was, if the child is hungry, we give them formula, and we give them as much formula as it takes to fill up their tummy. And I thought that should have been a pretty simple conversation to have with the nurse. But the nurse was, and I'm sure they've got their reasons for this, but it's going into great detail about the risks of giving the baby formula. And not only did we need to sign the waiver, but we had to agree to the amount that the baby would be given, which was like 20 ml. And I'm like, well, what if they want more than that? Which she did.
Yeah, she did.
And so it's not like we just went through the conversation once that night. We had to go kind of through it again. We didn't have to sign the waiver again, but we did have to say, look, she's still hungry.
Yeah.
Can we please have some more formula? So we found that was very stressful. It seemed like a very simple concept. Baby's hungry, feed it. There's no milk there. Let's give them formula until the milk comes in.
Yeah.
And I found that a little bit pedantic, maybe. But in the end, we got through it. They gave the baby what she needed, and after that, your milk came in, and in fine form.
Yeah. So at the end of the day, all is well. It was just something to be aware of and to think about, to make a decision about what you think you'd like to do, and to know that even if you do have to sign a waiver or have an uncomfortable conversation, you are allowed to give your baby formula. You're allowed to. It's fine. So in closing, when the day came to leave hospital, I was really excited to come home. I wanted to see my parents. I wanted to sleep in my own bed, and I wanted to begin the next step of the journey. So we got up bright and early, really early, would have been 6 or 7. We packed our copious amounts of bags and flowers from all our well-wishers.
And then I loaded everything onto a trolley, and I had to take it to the elevator. And there was like a queue of dads all in exactly the same position as us. It was really weird because we'd spent 5 days there. You don't really see the other parents because everyone's in their own rooms.
Yeah, you feel like you're on an island.
Yeah, you're kind of in your own, you're floating in your own space. And then suddenly there was like, a really long queue of men of around my age looking the same way I did, with big stacks of baggage on these big black trolleys and queuing up because you can only fit one trolley, only one of you can go in the elevator at a time, so it felt like a really weird traffic jam.
And while Yule was doing that, I was waiting to check out of the hospital, and I could hear other very new mothers also talking about their experience with giving the baby formula, and that made me feel again a greater sense of comfort, because again I felt like I was on an island and maybe like I was doing something a bit wrong. So that was good. But overall, the first week was a time where you're not back in your real life. You're just coming to know each other, and it was a really wonderful time, which we took lots of photos of. It was great. So that's what week 1 in hospital was like with a newborn baby. If you have any feedback about how you went post Caesar, or if any questions about what it's like to have a Caesar, or what it's like to have to ask for formula or anything like that, please include your questions below in the comment section, and you will be able to see what it's like to come home with a new baby in our upcoming vlog on returning home. This is Little Mirrors. I'm Iolanthe.
And I'm Yule.
And we're new parents.